Welcome to Adelaide City Talks, the podcast where we discuss local news, updates and politics from the City of Adelaide Council. Look, I'm Councillor Henry Davis and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Councillor Mary Kouros. So look, whether you're a long-time resident, a business owner, or simply someone who's curious about the inner workings of local government, we invite you to tune in and join the conversation. Our goal is to keep you informed and engaged with these issues that matter most to our community.
And we'd just like to note that these are our own views and not that of the City of Adelaide's.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty big 24 hours. Last night we had the bombing of Adelaide City Council. That's right, we had the F-bombing of Adelaide City Council.
F-bomb.
I couldn't believe it, to be honest. Like, it was straight into it. It was quite a pressure meeting last night, and there was a lot going on. So it seemed to me that in particular, now something that I noticed, and I think this kind of brings into it, and we'll come back to the actual circumstance of the F-bomb in a second, but what has happened is I suppose there's a bit of pressure about a potential upcoming by-election in the Central Ward for Adelaide. So there's a lot of potential manoeuvring from councillors, and I personally saw that last night from a number of councillors. Now, one of those topics that we actually had up were fees and charges. We were talking about outdoor dining, and we're also talking about car parking. Now, in the middle of that, Councillor Noon, who was the one who dropped the F-bomb on you, Mary.
Yes, it was
I saw your face on the recording. You were like, what? You couldn't believe
it. It was a shock. I couldn't believe someone says F off Mary so loud.
Oh, you can hear it on the audio.
Yeah.
If you'd like to play along at home, if you go to 1 hour, 18 minutes and 33 seconds, you will hear the bombing of Adelaide very clearly from Councillor Noon.
Yes.
And you can, I would also zoom in on Mary's face as well, because
it was shock. It was shock.
Eyes were wide open.
And you might turn around and say, well, it's only the F word, but
in a council
meeting, it's really important that, and we've got behavioural standards that we must adhere to. Otherwise, could you imagine if we didn't?
Well, the mayor called it unbecoming, I believe.
I think she was not impressed.
No,
not impressed at all. But it was unfortunate.
Yeah, and the situation behind it was like the four of us. It was Councillor Snape, myself, Carmel, and you. We were having a bit of fun, right? So if you go to 1 hour, 17 minutes, and about 30 seconds into the recording, you'll see Carmel Noon looking down at her papers, and my understanding was she wasn't going to vote for a particular motion. So what actually happened, I say that there's a double faction on Adelaide Council, and what happened was that the Lord Mayor had to leave because she had a conflict. The Deputy Lord Mayor stepped into the floor, and all of a sudden, they didn't have the numbers without Councillor Noon. So when they were voting for this motion, and I understood Councillor Noon was actually intending to vote against it, this was about AIDA charges. She was looking to vote against the AIDA charges and increases there. Councillor Snape put up his hand, and then he saw that Councillor Noon wasn't going to vote for it. So there was a long pause. The Deputy Lord Mayor went a long way and allowed Councillor Snape to yell out, "Carmel." And then he flicked his hand up and he said, "Vote for it." And she put her hand up. And so to me, that was very much a confirmation that, that these councillors are en bloc listening to each other. And we were having banter about the fact, and we were having a bit of a joke around about how that went down.
It was informal, so it wasn't during us voting or discussing a topic. So it was in between. And I think the banter was definitely there, good old Aussie banter between all of us, including Karen Snape, in regards to the what the situation was, and I think she took real issue with me joining in on the banter, because of my comment that I made in regards to her recommendation regarding outdoor dining, and that the fact is that she was totally not voicing her objection to it until right to the last minute, which I in my address I turned around and pointed out that this is for her campaign, possibly for a by-election.
Well, let's see what happens with the by-election in the coming months. But something that we obviously need to talk about is fees and charges. Car parking, outdoor dining. Let's talk about that first, because the budget, in my view, puts a lot of pressure and really undermines business in the city and is really telling everyone to F off.
Well, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. But so tell me about the, you talked about, last night you gave a speech about car parking and outdoor dining. And outdoor dining is something that from day dot you've been talking about. I personally think it's a double tax.
Yeah.
But what's your views on outdoor dining?
My views are over this whole budget, actually, Henry. So it's not just an isolated regarding outdoor dining. I have very strong views about keeping our city activated, keeping our city as the place for you to come and do business. I really don't think we should move away from that language we've been using for the last 4 years.
Yep.
While I've been in council, I can only speak to that because I was there. And I think we still need we have a long way to go to creating further business confidence in our city. But the problem that I have with the budget, Henry, is that it feels rushed.
It feels rushed.
First of all, it came late.
It was a week ago.
Yeah.
And then we got the valuations the night before.
Well, we haven't even got the valuations.
Oh, it was a guess, wasn't it? It was
an estimate. So I feel very.
Never seen anything like it.
No, either have I, and I'm feeling very uncomfortable. So my stance was last night that I'm going to. I do not feel that this budget is ready for consultation. We need to do more work, and we need to defer it for the next council meeting, which is on the 13th of June, which gives us plenty of time to get it in by
100%. Our cut-off date is the 15th of August. It's in the Local Government Act. That's when we need to finish our long-term financial plan and our budget.
That's right.
And that's when we look. It's a new council. It's been a little bit unsettling. There's a lot. It's a capital city, all right.
Sorry, Henry.
I'm making excuses for a couple, for some people, right?
We spent 6 months. We've been in council just over more.
Yeah, you'd expect that. Okay, look, let me make some excuses for people and maybe take some pressure off and say, look, we're new to council. It's a big budget. It's $1.8 billion worth. Might take a little bit longer for Adelaide City Council to get its head around a new budget, and I'm sure it's going to be great next year, right? But this year, maybe we just need to put the brakes on, slow down, and figure out what it is we're actually moving, rather than forcing through things, making amendments during a committee meeting, sending emails at the last moment. And we're talking about big bickies. We're not talking about $10,000 here or there or $20,000 for reconciliation activities, which were pulled out a couple of weeks ago and then put back in. We're talking about $500,000, $700,000 worth of changes to this budget. And we're really, it seems like the Greens-led faction is reacting to community news reports more so than anything else.
Well, let's talk about what was removed from the budget. When we were landed the budget on Thursday.
On a workshop, by the way.
And let's talk about we were given the budget on Thursday, which we had to take time off from our working lives in the middle of the day to review this budget. The first thing I see, which we've never discussed before, was redoing King William Street and Gouger Street.
That happened. So a $33 million project was chucked back, was now the main focus and cornerstone of this budget because it was mentioned by the Lord Mayor in a workshop.
No decision.
Mentioned once. No decision. No priority. Long-term planning. How are we going to pay for this?
No.
Council resolution to say these are our priorities. Hindley Street, Kingwell. No. Lord Mayor mentions it in a workshop. All of a sudden, it's now the bloody mermaid on the front of the ship.
Yes.
And it's our, saving grace and glory.
So that's the first thing I see, and I'm looking at this paper and I'm going, how did we get here? And then to that, right? We're having all these charges and all these extra fees and rates increases that I cannot go to my community to talk about. It could be 10%. It could be 7.5%.
Oh, yeah, we have no idea.
So if we're basing our increases on valuations, which, okay, we haven't increased, we haven't done our valuations for about 4 years. Now, I just found out today because I was told that we should be doing our valuations yearly. But in actual fact,
we should have been doing it for the last 8 years. We have a valuations team.
But we don't. You don't legislatively have to do it every year. Is that right? No.
But I mean, the valuations haven't gone up and the rate in the dollar hasn't gone up. Most of Adelaide City Council, its increased revenue has come from growth. And we saw a graph that was talking about increases in LGPI and things like that. And our growth is massive. And I wanted to make that point last night. In 1 year, we had 7% growth and increase in council revenue because of that growth. So the Adelaide City Council is actually in a great position where we can cover CPI increases through our increase in growth, which Burnside or Unley, they can't get 7%.
And that's why they increase their rates so much because they don't have that growth.
Yeah, so they're calling it budget repair, but actually all of these increases, covers in CPI have been as a result. So what this council I think is really trying to do is like any new government does, is come in and blame the old council, which I think is completely out of order.
And I think for me, it's about, I have to hand on heart when this goes out to consultation, talk to my ratepayers and say, yes, I believe in this budget for X, Y, Z. This is what we're going to be doing. But at the moment, what the budget is telling me to tell my ratepayers is, I don't really know where your rates are going to land at, what increase
Can we explain that a little bit? So,
sure.
So last Thursday, this was like 4 days ago. It was in a special workshop of like a special committee meeting, emergency meeting. They came to us and they told us that the average valuation increase would be 7.5%.
Yeah.
And I asked the administration, where is that 7.5% coming from? Is it coming from commercial? Is it coming from residential? Coming from office or retail? Where is this 7.5%? I was worried it was going to come from commercial. The Lord Mayor told me that this would cover it in the workshop, and the administration said, well, no, it wasn't.
No.
And it wasn't dealt with. And we will have that data to you next week.
Yes, which was Monday.
The day before the budget gets dropped,
all
of a sudden there's now a breakdown of where this is going to come from.
Do you have that here?
Yes, I do. So the residential increases is going to be on average at 10.2%.
That's an average.
And it could be higher, right? So this is the thing.
Well, we've got a discretionary rebate cap of 10%.
Yeah. And so my next question is, let's just say there's 10 properties, right?
Yeah.
And they've all gone up by 10%. No, it's an average.
Average.
So one property might have gone up by 0% and another property might have gone up by 20%, giving you an average of 10. So we don't understand what that distribution looks like.
No.
So when we cap it at 10%, well, you're losing this property that's increased by 20%. You're not now getting that additional rate revenue.
Yeah.
So I have no certainty in our budget bottom line, right?
That's exactly right. And I know it sounds like what? But
I know it's a lot. Yeah, it's complicated.
It gets really, really complicated. But the fact of the matter is, we're taking a budget out where we don't know where it's going to land.
Yeah, no idea.
So in rates increases, we're taking a budget out where we're telling people that we're going to be spending $15 million on main streets, but we don't know which main streets they are.
Right, isn't it? Because Councillor Simon Ho was talking about upgrades to Guja Street.
That's right.
And he apparently someone told him that this was a priority.
Yes.
But I said there's no commitment. There's no commitment to Guja Street.
There's
no pre-planning.
Oh no, the amended version. The amended version. There is only a commitment to a master plan.
Yeah.
That's right. No
commitment to actually fixing the terrible conditions on Guja Street.
No. So, but in this, we're taking out to consultation. We're saying we're going to be spending $15 million on our main streets. But which main streets? And what are you going to get for $15 million? We've got no concept plans. No. We don't know if that's going to be enough money. It may be more. It may be less. Who knows? Because we don't know what we're going to be doing with them.
I thought it was on renewals. Like it's on...
Well, I don't know.
It's fixing it.
We don't know. Fixing what?
Well, like all the potholes in Guja.
But it was also money that might be allocated to Melbourne Street, Hutt Street.
Yeah, sure.
So it's not just Guja.
Yeah.
So it might go to Guja.
There's no commitment to any of it.
There's no commitment. So it might go to Guja. It might. Some might go to Melbourne Street. Some might go to O'Connell Street. So we don't know. I've got no commitment to
100%.
to that. But on top of all of that is that what I don't feel that is right in going out with building this pretty picture that we're going to deliver all these streets to be done is that I don't think we're going to be able to deliver them. You know, cost is going up. You know, trades are an issue. You know,
so we have at least 4 concept plans, which are total cost of $140 million. At the end of next year, we're forecasting borrowings of about $30 million.
Yes, that's right.
Our prudential borrowing limit is $165 million, right?
Yes.
So borrowing's $30 million next year because we're in debt. Prudential limit 165. We've got $135 million to spend.
Yes.
But that's just 4 streets. We're not talking about King William. We're not talking about all the other streets that need upgrading.
But Henry, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but which streets are we talking about?
Well, we haven't even made the decision yet. There's no planning.
That's what I'm saying.
And in the budget, there was this massive page that said $200 million of new infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'm like, which new infrastructure? Is it a long-term financial plan? No. That's not important. But look, coming back to valuations.
Yes.
Quickly, let's get through that. So residential, if you're a residential person living in the city with a house or an apartment, you're looking at an average of 10.2% increase to your rates, which is far above any other council. If you're in retail, 3.1%. If you're in office, 5%. And if you're in commercial, 2.9%. And I'd love to make the point that is not good. It's not a good thing that the valuations for commercial have come back so low, because what that should be sending in terms of massive inflation, right? Residential property prices have increased by 10%. Our commercial is 7% lower. And what that says to me is they are struggling.
Yes.
That their landlords are not putting up their rents.
That's right.
Because that's how we calculate our rates here.
Yeah.
Very different from any other council. And so do you think that we should now introduce outdoor dining fees to hit these commercial businesses even more?
No, and the other part of that, Henry, is that we're not being bold in this budget. We're not being bold about where we're going to deliver activations within the city of Adelaide and North Adelaide. We're not talking about a bigger picture. We're not taking people on a journey, what we're going to be doing for this city.
There's no vision.
With this, there's no vision. All it's saying is that we're going to increase your rates, we're going to increase your fees and charges, we're going to take back the outdoor dining, and we're going to increase the parking, and we're going to do up the roads.
And then we're going to cut spending to AIDA so that less people know about Adelaide City
That
Council.
is the reason. The other reason why I could not vote for this budget.
AIDA, if you don't know, is the Adelaide Economic Development Agency.
Yeah. And that really saddens me, because it was really two councillors in particular that really wanted to cut this budget and not enable AIDA to thrive. But I know we get bogged down in a lot of the nitty-gritty, but the fact of the matter is AIDA weren't given a new budget. So AIDA was taken a budget that was already within the city of Adelaide, right? So I think everyone's got to remember that. So the budget that they have was already part of the economic arm or economic portfolio within the city of Adelaide. What we did last term of council is basically take that pool, right? Put this money over here called AIDA, right?
And depoliticize it.
Depoliticize it and have fantastic a fantastic board to monitor this pool and for it to create growth for our city. So that if you start cutting them, then you're cutting their ability
100%.
to be able to offer something for the city.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not good policy. That's not good policy.
Yeah, so we've got increased council rates.
Yeah.
We've got struggling businesses. We're going to increase the outdoor dining fees. We're going to increase your car parking in some cases by 100%, going from $2.60 to $5. And people keep saying this is not a lot on weekends. People are saying this is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's $700,000. $700,000. They're also then going to introduce eight new parking inspectors, 8 new car parking.
No, get ready. How much do they bring each into
their net value for each car parking inspector is $300,000.
Is it? Oh, yeah. $240.
$2.4 million is what they're expecting to generate in this year's budget by increased expiation fees. So you got 2.4, and we're talking about Adelaide residents, people coming to the city. So if you're expecting to come into the city, we're budgeting to get $2.4 million from you and $700,000 in additional car parking. That's what we're talking about here. And $3 million worth of increased costs. Oh, it's only a couple bucks on a Saturday. It's big biggies.
Well, it is, especially for that small operator that relies on that person to come to their business on a Saturday morning.
But then aren't they full, Carmel? Aren't all our cafes and restaurants completely full? And, we probably need to move people on so they don't spend too much money all in one place.
Well, I just don't think
we should have signs across Adelaide, don't spend your money all at once. And so we can increase, maybe we can just put in 10-minute car parking zones so they get in and
in all seriousness,
get
that is a problem. The messages that we send, and that is the whole crust of my issue with this budget. First of all, we only had it not even a week now, barely. We've we haven't had the opportunity to deep dive in it and actually we at least have 2 goes at this budget before we actually take it out to for consultation. Yeah. It's rushed out to consultation. I can't talk to it because it's not clear to me. And I don't feel confident that we're going to be able to deliver what we say we're going to deliver in regards to street upgrades. That really concerns me.
So let's talk to the long-term financial plan.
Which one?
Which one? Good point.
Do we have one?
Yeah, well, we have one that says that we're going to be spending $360,000 a year on new capital infrastructure projects for a city that's worth $1.8 billion. We're going to be putting in $360,000.
Yeah.
Right now, most council, this is something that's been going around, right?
Yeah.
Most councils, as they go out to their community, now if you don't look, please don't tune out. Like long-term financial, I'm a tax lawyer, first of all, and this stuff this is so, F-bombs. That's fun. I know we opened with that, but this is the fun stuff. This is the really interesting stuff that I want you to get passionate about.
Don't fall asleep, people. Don't fall asleep.
I can see Grant, our producer, falling asleep. It's wake up, Grant. We're paying you to stay awake. So look, long-term financial planning is about setting the tempo so that because projects take more than 1 year to deliver.
That's right.
We need to plan over a 10-year period. What are the priorities for Adelaide? Right. And what that gives to our ratepayers is certainty about the future. So if you're a local cafe and you're looking to upgrade your shop, you know that, say, Hutt Street might be upgraded in the next 2 years. So maybe coincide with that, or because you might have shutdowns, you're going to have interruptions, do it after that so that they land at the same time. It allows our businesses, our developers, our residents to plan around these types of things. And for us as a council, allocate budget. Now, apparently this year, it's not that important to do long-term planning and make sure that we're not spending more money than we can actually borrow. If we ever want to get to our borrowing cap and max it out, first of all, right? All of the other councils around us, they go out to budget to their community saying, this is our long-term financial plan. Here's how we're investing in infrastructure. And here's our budget. Here's how we're going to pay for it. We are missing half of the story and half of the commitment. And we can't go out and produce our long-term financial plan because we haven't done the work over the last 6 months to make these types of decisions.
And that's what I'm saying. That is why I could not vote for the budget. I think we needed 2 more weeks to work on this. I've never done a budget without the long-term financial plan. This is very strange to me.
Apparently, I've been told it's not necessary.
Well, apparently we're getting it in August.
It feels like you're starting a house renovation, and you've got to do your kitchen, your floors, and your bathroom.
Yes.
And you're going to start. You don't know how much they're all going to cost.
No.
You haven't waited for you just told the builder, start doing it immediately, and I put it on my credit card.
Yeah.
And you're not sure if you're going to get maxed out. And all three of these things aren't going to be delivered. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're spending big money, $500,000 plus. It's $2 million for a detailed design on Hindley Street. We're spending millions of dollars doing advanced detailed designs for projects that have not been allocated a budget in future years.
And I think that's the way, a great way to put it, Henry, without bogging down. I know we get bogged down with the detail of it all, but I think that's perfectly put. So I think it's really important to note here that it's really important for our ratepayers to get involved with the consultation. It's really important that you actually look at what it is that you want your council to deliver and if they're delivering. It's actually really important for businesses. It's a really crucial time for them to really look at this budget and say, right, okay, what is it that I can give feedback on that I don't think it's delivering? 100%. And if I cannot stress that enough, the consultation period is really important. It's only 3 weeks. Only 3 weeks. And let me tell you, in the past, I've only seen probably about 80 people actually put in a submission.
Yeah.
For a capital city. And we are a capital city. We do not function the same as other local councils. We are different in the way that we actually rate. We are different in where our fees and charges come from. And we are different in regards to the vision that we want for the city. And we need to actually grow up, have a vision, look forward, plan better, make sure we can deliver, and not give a budget in which we think maybe it could be, and this is what we might do. That's what I'm worried about.
Right. So in wrapping up for today's podcast, Mary, out of 10, what would you rate the budget, or is a big question mark for you?
At the moment it's 0.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I voted totally
10,
against it.
Yeah.
Not even 1, not even 2, because I don't feel confident until all that picture that you just talked about we have. We actually know what the rates increase is going to be, how our community is going to be affected. We actually know what the long-term financial plan is and what we can deliver. Until I have all that information in front of me, I can't comment. I'm sorry.
Right. So for me, it's about a 2.5. Half of the story, half of the things that we need to be going out is about a long-term financial plan. No point telling everyone you're going to be doing lots of great things if you can't pay for it. Second of all, for me, there's some big issues that are really hitting local businesses. It's we're going to be increasing the car parking rates. We can tell that they're struggling through the valuations. We're going to be cutting funding to AIDA, which is our Adelaide Economic Development Agency. And then we're also going going to be increasing outdoor dining rates. All these things, I think, are going to really destroy a lot of the great work actually that our Premier is doing to promote our state, to get people in. And in the end, I think we're just telling people to F off out of Adelaide. So look, I think we'll probably wrap it up there. If you have any final comments, Mary?
No, I don't. Just please, everybody.
Fix the budget.
Fix the budget.
Please comment and
put
fix
in
it.
your comments, and it would really be helpful.
So last thing I would like to mention is the Park 21 West community.
Yes.
So this is how these things happen, right? Is at a workshop, somebody mentions that they don't like it, and they just rip out major projects that have been worked on for a very long time.
That's right.
We actually saw that with the trolleys in the Central Market,
That's
which
right.
thankfully Simon Howe got back in this draft budget, but I hope it stays in the final.
Yeah.
But Park 21 West is a rundown, crappy community infrastructure that houses netball, rugby, soccer, a whole bunch of different community activities and sports. There's I think it's 30,000 people a year might even use that site, something ridiculous like that. We submitted a petition of 650 to ask council for their support, and the Greens faction ripped it out.
Well, that was the other reason why, Henry, I voted against the budget. I did not, because that kind of blindsided me as well. You know, it was ripped out of the budget so quickly. We had no time to actually talk with administration what the implications is of removing this from the budget. There was no discussion.
So, they said they're going to have a discussion later on about bureaucracy and their values and open space. And you know what I'm terrified for is we've got a local sporting club that activates our parklands, gets people using it. Right? They get people in the parklands. And if we want to preserve them, people need to use them and defend them. You've got a sporting club there that produces so much for our community in terms of mental health, getting people together, active living. We've got all these programs. We've got them on a website somewhere saying how much we support these. But the next minute we start cutting their detailed design, which has been approved by Caterpillar. And I would suggest actually supported by a number of different lobby groups in the parklands, and it was supported by the previous council to advance this. We are desperately, and the state government is putting in funding. So
that's the other thing, is that
it puts at risk all of these things. It puts
at risk a lot of things. So,
but if you question them on that, no, we didn't do that. No, we're just going to have a discussion about it. But I think it's just wrapping up. So if you are a sporting organisation anywhere in the city of Adelaide, this could absolutely happen to you as well.
I'm saddened to hear that this might disappoint a lot of people, but that's what I'm saying. Get in there.
Make your voices known.
Make your voices heard.
All right. Well, thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Henry.
It's been a tough couple of
It's really hard
tough 24 hours.
Unpacking that. We hope we didn't confuse you all. But
if you want to talk about tax law, you can call me at any time. I would love to talk about long-term financial plans, budgets, and it's so much fun. Economics. But otherwise, we hope to hear your feedback in the budget consultation. Thank you for joining us on this special edition. It's not really special. It's a normal one, but we'll call it a special edition of our podcast, our budget podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.